What's up, Nova Heads? It's Amber Nova.
This is Chris Lights Out Lytle.
Hi, this is Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Ice Boogie.
It's the real and raw August Artois.
This is Smiling Sam Alvey.
It's Archimedes.
I'm Jack Cartwheel, the real deal, the human highlight reel.
This is Steve Maury.
I'm Victor Henry.
It's ECW Original, The Enforcer, C.W. Anderson.
This is Honest John.
It's Mr. Classic.
I'm Jason Punet.
The young ghost.
It's old Hattie Price here.
When I say what's my name, Snipes.
Richie Slade.
My name is Gino Rivera, the Frank Sinatra of the Spanish Mafia.
The incredible one, Anthony Idol.
This is Ken Shamrock.
The Golden Boy, Jordan Clearwater.
Yo, watch and listen.
Championship online.
This is Alex Mars here. Hi, Richard Modest.
So, please listen to it, otherwise be cursed. Okay, see you later, love that dinners.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Alex from Championship on the Line podcast, and I'm joined with my co-host Rich. And today is a very, very special episode. We have a guest today, a professional wrestler who's been making waves right now in the EWF Empire Wrestling Federation. We're so lucky to have him here. He is Jamaal Starks. You can't stop him, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot stop him. He is Jamaal Starks, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, you said it best. You said, you're lucky to have me here.
No, absolutely, man. We're very happy, and we're happy to have you. And like you said, we saw you wrestle last week, I believe,
last Friday.
Last Friday, and it was a great match. And at Ontario against Casey Phoenix. But we'll have to talk to you about that a little bit later. But first, we want to do a segment with you. And it's called Fun Questions, where we ask 10 fun questions about your personal side. Is that cool we do it with you?
Ooh, yeah, that's definitely cool.
All right, awesome, Rich.
Hit me with it.
Start it. Cool. We'll start with question number 1. Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time. All right. So I probably have 2 tied for the top. Let's say, and they're like completely like on opposite spectrum. So like Shrek, just because like it's Shrek, can't top that, right? Then on the serious side, probably American History X. I was like perfectly done. That was an amazing movie.
Nice. Yeah, they're like you said it best. They're totally opposite. The opposites, yeah.
Yes, right. It just depends on what mood I'm in for the day. And I'm like, yeah, today it's going to be American History X. The other day it's like, it's just going to be Shrek today. But I could probably quote that movie from like beginning to end.
Awesome. Nice. Next, favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? So are we talking like just regular TV or like Netflix is included?
Netflix is included. Yeah, Netflix.
All right, so Arrested Development. Easy, top favorite.
Oh, nice.
That is hilarious. Jason Bateman is amazing in that show.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Next, favorite music or artist?
Ooh, okay. So I listen to all types of music. We got to narrow this down. Give me favorite, like a genre.
Let's start with like rap or hip hop.
Rap. All right, Kendrick Lamar, easily.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the best lyricist of this generation, and I've been waiting on his next album to drop for years. Like, man, Kendrick, if you're listening, you gotta drop this right now.
Were you a fan of the recent albums that got dropped by Drake and Kanye?
Okay, so I don't know. I might get some hate for this, but CLB, it just didn't do it for me. There was probably like 1 or 2 good songs on there, but it just didn't do it for me. And Donda, I'm more of like a old Kanye type of guy. Donda, it was cool, but you know, I still crave like old Kanye, not like some of his newer stuff.
Yeah, I totally get it. How about rock? Are you a rock guy too, or?
Ooh, yeah. So like, yeah, like seriously, my music is like all over the place. So, for rock, like my favorite bands would probably be like Yellow Card, easily is at the top. And it's funny too, because like they always seem like one of those one-hit wonder bands, but like I don't know, they don't have a bad song in my head. Also, I'm a big fan of like Avenged Sevenfold. Going on rock, let's see. I'm a big fan of we're gonna get another one. I'll give you guys another one. Newfound Glory. I'm like what I listen to the most is probably like pop punk, like the early 2000s, like very like emo whiny music, but like I don't know, it resonates with me. I love it.
That's awesome. Nice. Well, all great picks. We'll move on. Favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team? Lakers, Steelers. No other team in my eyes. And slander for either of those teams will not be tolerated on this call.
No baseball?
So for baseball, I don't watch baseball that much, but if I had to pick a team, I'm going to go with the hometown team, say the Dodgers.
Nice.
I don't know if
you just made Alex very happy. Yes. We've had guests in the past where like, we're a Giants fan or a Padres fan. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Really?
You just broke my heart.
I was actually born in the Bay Area, so like for some people they would probably think that I would be either like an A's or a Giants fan, but I'm going to go with the Dodgers easily.
Nice.
Great
choice.
Nice. Indeed. Favorite meal you like to eat?
Favorite, what was it?
Meal.
Favorite meal, pizza.
Nice.
I have pizza probably like once a week. and I know I probably shouldn't, but like, man, just can't say no to it. And it's funny too, because I'm actually vegetarian. So I don't like, so I can't really like eat a lot of, or I can't eat meat at all. But like, pizza is the one thing that's actually keeping me from going vegan, because I just can't do without cheese, and vegan cheese just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I have to have some pizza in my life, man.
It's Alex and I are the same way. I don't care if it's from like a 7-Eleven or at a Pizza Hut or some kind of diner,
Right.
like it, pizza rocks.
Yeah, some people just like they crap on like 7-Eleven pizza. I'm like, man, it's good to me.
Exactly.
It's all about perspective with it.
Yeah. You have a favorite video game?
Favorite video game. So let's see. I recently I've been playing a lot of Splitgate, but before that I was on Rocket League a lot actually.
Nice.
Yes, I like to see myself as pretty good at Rocket League. Some people will argue, but I honestly think I'm probably the best Rocket League player in the world. I don't know how true my statement is, but I'm gonna go with it.
Nice.
Oh, so you might have some people in the comments trying to challenge you soon.
Right. And you know what? I don't have to accept all challenges. I just want them to know that
awesome.
I'm the best Rocket League player in the world. I don't have to prove myself.
Awesome. Outside of wrestling, do you have a favorite hobby?
Outside of wrestling, man, I would like to think I do, but man, like it's kind of funny because I've spent my entire life just like so focused on, man, I got to be a wrestler, and like I didn't really like explore much of anything else because I was just so focused on that goal that I didn't really care to like express interest in much else. Man, that makes me feel like a boring person. But no, I can't think of any other hobbies that I have. It's like wrestling's always on the mind.
Awesome. No, it shows. I mean, like Alex and I were talking, when you're dedicated to something, it shows in your performance. And like Alex said, we saw you, and we're amazed by your performance, and we know your career is going to take off very soon.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Next question: do you have a ritual you like to do before you enter the ring?
So before I get in the ring, I'm stretching, I'm pacing, I'm trying to get all the anxiety and nerves out. Because it's like, no matter how many times you come through that curtain, man, it's like it's different. It's like it's just a different feeling because you don't know how the crowd's gonna react. There's a lot of unknowns that just for me that just like builds up a lot of anxiety. So I'm just like pacing, trying to get all the nerves out, stretching, push-ups, running, this and that before I get in the ring. So that it's just a lot of mental things. I'm just trying to prepare myself for what I'm about to do, you know?
Oh, no, very true. Like you said, every crowd is so different. So you kind of have to like mentally prepare for every single crowd. Yeah.
Exactly. And you just don't know what it's going to be like until you're out there in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. If you could have a match with someone that isn't a wrestler, who would it be?
I love that question.
It could be a fictional character from a book, a TV show, video game, anything.
Man, so is this more so I want to beat them up, or I want to have a good match with them?
It can be both.
Yeah, it can be both.
It can be both. If I wanted to beat someone up, who would it be? Let's see.
It could be a celebrity.
I would love to step into the ring. Man, I'm a Lakers fan, but I'm going to say this. I'd love to step in the ring with LeBron. Man, I don't know. I can't stand that guy. I was so upset when the Lakers picked him up. I was like, come on, no. So I gotta meet him in the ring and let him know, like, bring us a ring or else.
I think again
another ring. I'm not counting that bubble ring.
So I think again you made Alex happy again. I'm actually Alex not a big LeBron fan either.
And you know what? I'm not trying to like discount his skill or anything, but man, it's just like I just feel like he's very overhyped, and I don't like his attitude either. You know what I mean? Just play the game.
Yeah.
Alex has a great story of you.
Yeah.
Alex wants to share real quick.
No,
I'd love to hear it.
No, we can do it off the air. I don't want to get
Okay.
We'll do it up there then.
Now I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, we'll do it off the air. I don't feel comfortable.
No worries. We have one more favorite wrestler.
Favorite wrestler. So of all time, it would probably have to be Chris Jericho. And it would have to be Jericho because I started watching wrestling in, let's see, 07. I was 8 years old, so 07. And so like I honestly had no clue who he was prior to him coming back that year. So it was like I was very captivated by him the first time I saw him, and then I started watching his older stuff, and I'm like, man, like this guy is just so good. And as he's getting older, I mean, like his in-ring work, in my opinion, it's just like it's kind of slowing down, but he's building up that character work as his in-ring work is starting to slow down, which I just love that for him.
No, it's true. I think a lot of, he has critics say, yeah, he's slowing down, he's getting older, but he falls back on his character and like how he could capture the crowd in a second. Like that just doesn't.
Right. And he's good at what he does, man. Like he can captivate anybody with anything. I mean, he got the word "it" over and a potted plant over. So if you can do all of that, like, man, he's just a great guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure,
awesome.
for sure.
But again, Jamaal, we really appreciate you taking the time to do this podcast with us. And like you said, we got to see you wrestle in Ontario last Friday, and it was against Casey Phoenix. Talk about that match with us. How was it like working with Casey Phoenix?
So Casey he's a great guy, man. Despite everything you saw out there, he's a great guy. He's a good brother. What I really liked about that match was I didn't get to watch the entire show, but the vibe that I got from our match, just like in reflection, I felt like ours just felt more like a fight than a match. You know what I mean? So it was just a lot of back and forth. He does something to me, then I do something to him. He does something to me, I do something to him. And so that's why I think it was honestly my favorite match I've had so far. Just like I love the energy going into it. He's someone that I've really, really wanted to work with for a couple months now, because he just actually recently had his first match, I want to say 2 months ago. So from the minute I saw him, I'm like, dude, like I got to work with this guy. I got to work with this guy. So I'm honored that I got to step in the ring with him, and hopefully I'll be able to do more with him.
Oh, absolutely. It felt like it's true because, like you said, it felt like a fight, but also felt like a rivalry, like you guys had for a long time, and you guys were just going back and forth. And at one point, I think you hit him with a truck. The U-Haul.
The U-Haul truck. So if you guys want to hear a little behind the curtain, so we almost got in trouble for that U-Haul spot. So we planned it in our head. We're like, all right, so we're gonna go out to this. He told me, he's like, I want you to throw me into the truck, and I'm like, okay, I got you. So he grabs me and goes to throw me. He's like, all right, reverse me. I'm like, no, I'm going first. So I jumped and threw myself into the truck, and I came off and then threw him into the truck. Right? Turns out EWF didn't own that truck. That belonged to the venue. So had there been a dent in that U-Haul truck, that would have came back on EWF, and then that would have in turn came back on us. Luckily, there was no dent in the truck, but if there was, it would have been really bad.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I think we're all lucky because now I'm looking at it, and that was like a big bump you took. I'm really telling Alex, like, whoa, I could hear it, and we're kind of in the back row. We could hear that impact.
Oh yeah, I threw myself really hard into that truck, and then we got back. He's like, man, I hit that truck hard. I think I did dent it. He was like, if there's a dent, I'll pay for it because it was probably me.
Oh yeah, it was such a great match, and like I said, watching you come out of the curtains, because this was the first time I ever watched you wrestle for the first time, and right away, like you first you got our attention from your theme song. So you came out Purple Haze, Jimi Hendrix.
That was the first time I've ever used that song.
Really? Wow.
Yes. I just changed my music that day.
Wow.
First time.
What made you decide to use that song?
So I was actually tagging with a guy up in Northern California for a couple shows, and we were coming out to Purple Rain, the Prince song. And I think Purple Rain was like more so fitting for him. But since we were going to be tagging together, I was like, well, if you're coming out to Purple Rain and like I'm a little more energetic, more out there than you are. He's more of like walking slow, taking in his moment, right? So I'm like, I think Purple Haze will probably fit me a little more than Purple Rain. So I'm like, let's try that out. And honestly, I think it stuck because I enjoyed it. That also helped with the energy for the match too, because I think once those chords hit and I'm coming out, I'm like, man, I'm really vibing to this right now. I'm really feeling it. So that's what you guys saw. That was my genuine reaction to, man, like I really feeling this song. That's all that was going through my head on my entrance, actually.
Yeah, because I remember like when you came out, I'm like, I already like him already because he's using Purple Haze. Yeah. It's a great song. I'm like, oh, I like him.
Thank you.
But yeah, like I said, great match between you and Casey Phoenix, and talk to us about how did your wrestling journey start? Like, how did it all start from the beginning? What made you decide to be a wrestler?
Man, so this actually goes all the way back to when I was in 5th grade, maybe. I think that's probably when I made up my mind, which is a very early age to be making up your mind about that kind of stuff, But I think like around 10 years old, like that's when that's a very early age to start learning like all the behind the scenes stuff about wrestling too. But I was exposed to it at that age, and I'm like, man, like for a lot of people, I think that would be a turnoff for them. That's when they start going, oh man, like I hate wrestling now. I hate wrestling. But it just intrigued me even more. And it was like, even growing up, I've just always been like a superhero kind of guy. Like, man, I just love superheroes. I love this and that. And then when I first got into wrestling, I saw those as like, oh my gosh, these are like real life superheroes. You know what I mean? So it just clicked automatically. I actually got into wrestling from SmackDown versus Raw 2007. My friend had it, and we would play it, and then one day we turned the game off, turned the TV on, SmackDown was on, and which is funny, the very first match that I've ever seen, it was Booker T versus Kane in a Falls Count Anywhere. and I think it was a Money in the Bank qualifier, but I can't say for 100%. That was the first match that drew me in, and then everything after that, it was just like, I think once I made up my mind that I wanted to be a wrestler, I'm like, all right, so everything I do from this point on has to be towards this goal, because like, for me, it was never a dream. This has always been a goal. So it's like going through middle school, I'm like, okay, I'm going to join the wrestling team and I'm going to wrestle because this is going to make me like Kurt Angle. Mm-hmm. Or once I get to high school, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep wrestling, but now I got to think about, okay, I got to save some money, start training. Finally had that money there, and I'm like, all right, got to pull the trigger and do it, or else I'm going to keep making excuses for myself. Mm-hmm. And here I am now.
And then, what school did you train at?
School of Hard Knocks. So
okay.
I started with EWF, yeah.
Okay, and talk about like your first day. Like, what was your first day like going to Hard Knocks?
The first day, let's see. The first day I can remember, they had me run the ropes and bump, and man, those ropes are no joke. I'd always heard stories that like, oh, the ropes are gonna leave bruises, this and that. I'm like, because in my head, I'm like, I have a high pain tolerance. I'm like, I can deal with it. I hit the ropes for the first time, and I was like, man, this is painful. I went home and looked in the mirror. It was like bruises all across my back, and I'm like, am I ever gonna get used to this? I think it was that on top of the fact that I was bumping. I was like, how do these guys like just come here every week? It's like hitting ropes and bumping like it's nothing, because I'm going home after the first day and I'm in a lot of pain. but yeah, the first day it was pretty basic stuff. I think I picked up a lot, and I feel like I was picking up a lot really fast, even though like, even to this very day, I still have a lot to learn. But at the same time, it's like, I see myself as very adaptable and very coachable. So it's like, whatever you tell me or whatever you need me to do, I can go out there and do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And then also like, what was it like also working with like Jesse Hernandez? What was he like working with him?
Jesse's a great guy. He's given me a lot of opportunities, and he's given me a lot of advice as well, because he's been in the business since like 1980.
Yeah.
So he's basically just like, yeah, he's a sponge, and just like he's taking in everything from around him, and he's giving it back to us, which I like genuinely appreciate, and I would like forever be in debt to Jesse.
Mm-hmm. And also like, reading back, like you also wrestled in college, right?
I did, yes. So I started wrestling, amateur wrestling when I was 12 years old. Yeah, 12. And man, it's funny too, because so my very first year wrestling, at this time, my family was living in Georgia, and halfway through the season, I had a knee injury, and my coach was like, take 2 weeks off and we'll come back. So I came back. I ended up winning the county championship. My very first year wrestling, go to the doctor. Turns out I have a torn ACL, torn meniscus. And I finished out the season on that, which is like, I don't know how I did.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did that, but I did it. So after that, I sat out my freshman year in high school, wrestled one more year in Georgia, and that's when we moved back to California. And I finished out there. And I took a couple years off after graduation, and started wrestling again 2019. I wrestled in college for Delta College up in Northern California.
Okay.
I wrestled for 1 year there, and then pandemic started. And from there, I just started training to be a professional wrestler, because in my head, I'm like, that's just my ultimate goal right there.
Mm-hmm. So from amateur wrestling, are you completely done with it and now just going towards professional wrestling?
Yeah, all my energy right now is towards professional wrestling and trying to get this taken off.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy too, because like a lot of most, amateur wrestlers usually make the move to MMA, or they do combat sports. But for you, you went and did professional wrestling. But there's a lot of guys that did it. I mean, recently we've seen Gable Stevenson now signing with WWE, Olympic gold medalists, guys like Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas, are those guys that you look into inspiration from? Any moves? Like, do you put your amateur wrestling techniques into your ring style?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's one of those things where it's like, if I have it in my arsenal, why not use it? And I think, like, for me personally, it was like, as much success as I had in amateur wrestling, that was always a stepping stone for me to get to professional wrestling. I went into it with the mindset of, I'm using this to get to here, instead of, I'm good at this, maybe I'll go to MMA, because then I wouldn't be happy with myself. I was just telling someone recently, it's like, if professional wrestling doesn't work out for me, I don't know what I'd have, because this has been a goal of mine since I was a child. So something needs to work in it, or else, it's just, it's not, my life's just not going to work out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah, because we noticed too in your ring style, like you use a lot of like stuff from like amateur wrestling into your ring style, which is awesome too. You even bring your singlet, which is pretty cool too.
Yes, yes. I'm most comfortable in a singlet. I tried the long tights, and I'm like, it's not doing it for me. Not doing it.
Yeah, because I was telling Rich, I'm like, which is cool, because like I'm like, he's still bringing from like we used to do now into this, which I think is awesome. Because like Rich, Rich and I, we dabbled, like Rich wrestled more than me, but like only wrestled a year. But we had a little experience in high school wrestling. But it's crazy now to see now more people that are into martial arts are now jumping into the ring, which is amazing to see. But talking about going to Hard Knocks, when did Jesse tell you, like, hey, you're gonna have your first match in EWF?
So it was actually in May. It was at a private show in Lytle Creek. And I actually wasn't booked initially for it. But have you guys been to other EWF shows to see the Island Boy Edwin Casala? So he was actually booked to wrestle Friar Juan, and Edwin had to pull out of the show. So that's when they told me, they're like, hey, make sure you have your stuff ready, because you're wrestling on Saturday. And this was on like a Thursday. So I was like, okay. I have this and that and this and that. All right, cool. I'm going to go out there. And looking back on it, that first match probably wasn't my best. I completely blanked out. It was fun, it was fun. And it was just a different experience, because of course that's the only thing I ever thought about, getting in that ring for my very first match. So there was even a moment where it was like, right when the bell rang and we were circling around the ring, I completely just had a whole out-of-body experience. And I'm like, this is happening. Like, I thought I was in a movie for a second. And I'm like, no, this is real life. We got to zone back in. We got to get this.
Yeah, because Alex and I have heard so many similar stories, like these guys making their debut, and it's like it was a last-minute thing, or they just called me the day before. And then once I go in there, I'm like realizing, oh shoot, I'm in a wrestling match. Like it takes a while to soak it in.
Yeah. It's just a different experience, and the wrestling business is just so unpredictable. So you just always have to be ready for whatever.
Oh yeah, and I remember watching too, because I remember like especially like during the pandemic, like the EWF had like the School of Hard Knocks in YouTube channel. They were putting matches. I remember you had a match with, I believe it was Eric Red, right?
Eric Red.
Yeah, what was that whole experience like? Also, like wrestling with no audience, but also wrestling against Eric Red. What was the whole experience like for you?
It's definitely a different experience. Especially wrestling like not in front of an audience, just because the audience just brings that whole factor of reactions, I guess, into the matches. So it's kind of weird to gauge like what we need to do in this match in order to get a reaction out of people when you don't hear anything going on around you. You know what I mean? So you don't know what's clicking and what's not. But in the end, like I'm forever grateful to the Hard Knocks Wrestling, definitely, because that was definitely a launching pad for me, and it continues to be a launching pad for a lot of us and a lot of the students, because we're getting looks from all over the place, and like you just never know who's watching. It's getting hundreds and hundreds of views. Maybe that one person is a promoter in Mexico or a promoter in Australia or something like that, and they're going to see that and be like, hey, let's bring that guy in.
Oh, absolutely. Especially like with VWF with the Hard Knocks, so many wrestlers that came out of there and they made it to, AEW or WWE. You had guys like Rocky Romero, TJ Perkins, Molina, et cetera, and it's crazy because now you're seeing guys like Jordan Clearwater is getting a big break in New Japan, NWA, and there's so many guys coming out of that school. But is there anything like Jesse Hernandez, was there anything like any advice that he given you that you still keep to this day?
Always get paid before you leave. That's the biggest thing. He said, always make sure the promoter pays you before you leave the show. And I said, okay, Jesse. Of course.
It's great advice.
Yeah, it's amazing advice. You always got to make sure you get paid
advice,
for your art.
Yeah, because we always hear stories sometimes where guys like, dude, like the promoter left and I never got paid. It's crazy, but you hear those stories. Like you don't think it's true, but it's crazy. But that's awesome advice.
Right.
Was there any a time where like Jesse brought like a big name for a seminar that you joined in? Was there ever a time?
Let's see. Well, there's always guys coming in there to help all the time. Like Rock Riddle has seminars there. Jordan Clearwater comes and helps out every now and then. So it's just like, as a student, you always have to make sure you're going there because you never know who's going to show up.
And in talking to like as of now, what are your goals? Like especially in OEF, like what are your goals? Like who do you want to work with in the future?
My goal is to be able to do professional wrestling full time within the next 2 years. That I'm putting that out there. I keep trying to manifest that, put that in the universe so that I can just stick to this, put all my energy towards this, and just become hopefully a household name. As for people I want to work with, there's a lot. Is it like when you ask that, it's just like, are you talking about just like the EWF bubble or just like wrestling in general?
We could do both. We do it in general.
We can do both. So in EWF, some people I would love to work with Jordan Clearwater, definitely. Casey Phoenix, man, that was an experience. So I can cross him off the list for sure. One person I definitely want to have a match with is Alan Breeze. He's a great guy. He's a great worker. I feel like we can put on a banger. So that's another person. I'm just putting that energy out there. Like we're gonna have a match. I keep telling them like we're gonna have a match. We're gonna have a match, and we're gonna kill it out there.
Oh, absolutely. I can see those being like banger matches. Even like you and Breeze are kind of like a little bit similar. Like I can even see like a tag team also between you two.
Yeah, that's also something we've talked about too. We were like, man, we should team together because he actually has a background in amateur as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I feel like we can honestly do something really, really good if we're given the time and given the ring. We could definitely put on a banger. I'm telling you, you heard it here first.
Well, yeah, I believe it. And and talking about promotions, like is a certain promotion you would like to sign with, like WWE or maybe AEW or Impact, or does it matter?
It honestly doesn't matter. It's my dream. It is my dream. And I hate using that word because I like having goals, not dreams, but it's my dream to work in Japan. I would love to go there. I love just like, because I'm actually part Japanese, like, and love to go there, experience like the true traditional culture, outside of like going to my grandma's house in Sacramento. But and like the wrestling there is always just top tier. It's amazing. It's amazing what those guys can do. And I'd love to be a part of that one day.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, man. I would love to see you in Japan, man. I think your style too, I think will fit perfectly in Japan.
Yeah.
And then, talking about like how much wrestling right now do you watch? Like how much programming do you watch? And what do you think of like the product today?
So today I watch a decent amount. I watch enough to keep up with it. I think the product today is just I think it's just very broad as opposed to like 80s, 90s. You know what I mean? There's something for everybody. It's just a matter of finding what you like. Right now, I think I've been watching a decent amount of AEW lately. And I've been watching them because it's like AEW is almost like a wrestling variety show because there's literally something for everybody there. There's comedy, there's high spots, there's just like traditional wrestling matches. And there's also like those hardcore matches there. So that's where I'm getting a majority of my wrestling from. Other than that, it's just like there's guys that I just like watching. So I'll watch like older matches. I watch guys on the indies for the most part. But other than that, that's about as much wrestling that I watch today.
Mm-hmm. And and talking about now, if someone's listening to this and wants to pursue a goal to be a professional wrestler, what advice can you give to someone that wants to pursue in this business?
Don't wait on anybody to tell you what to do. I say literally, and don't make excuses for yourself either, because I spent a lot of years doing that and have a lot of regrets for it. Literally go for it. Do what you want to do, then ask for forgiveness later. Don't hesitate on chasing your goals because you're going to end up with regrets, and that's the worst thing to live with is regret. So get in there and do what you have to do. Basically, don't let anybody tell you how to live your life.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, great advice. And again, Jamaal, really appreciate you taking the time to do this podcast with us. Like I said, we saw your match, and it was a really great match and exciting. And again, I wish nothing but the success for you. And yeah, man, I see you going to the top, man. From what I saw,
I appreciate it.
Rich and I saw, yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you so much. And is there anything would like to plug in, any social media, anything for the fans to find you?
Ooh, so if you gotta find me, I'm on Instagram. CS Jamaal. Jamaal is spelled Jamaal as opposed to Jamal, because a lot of people get it wrong. And that is also my Twitter handle. I don't use Twitter as much, but if people start following me, I might consider tweeting a little bit more. It's weird for me, like tweeting out and just going like, yeah, I got my 20 friends following me. So those are my social medias. If you want to find me on PWT, it's going to be prowrestlingtees.com/Jamaal Starks. I got 3 shirts. I think they're pretty nice shirts. So definitely recommend checking them out. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Again, Jamaal, really appreciate it. It's an honor to have you on the pod, and really appreciate taking the time. And again, that's going to do it for us here on Championship Online Podcast with my co-host Rich, and I'm Alex, and we'll see you guys next time here with Championship on the Line.